In July 2019, Sean Beale, a 31-year-old American, fell into a coma and was put on a ventilator in Wisconsin. A deadly unknown virus had attacked his lungs. There are many patients infected with this virus like Beale, and many of them smoke e-cigarettes. People call it e-cigarette or vaping product use-associated lung injury, EVALI. After a large-scale outbreak in Wisconsin, the EVALI quickly swept through several U.S. states. This is a CT scan of the lungs of patients of e-cigarette disease, a hazy ground glass pattern of white flecks. Does it look familiar? Right. The patients share similar symptoms with those confirmed carrying COVID-19. What's even more surprising is that at the time of this unusual outbreak, Fort Detrick lab in the United States was suddenly required to terminate most operations. 2 months later, the U.S. state of Maryland, where Fort Detrick is located, reported that the number of patients with EVALI had doubled. Is this really a coincidence? Why was Fort Detrick lab closed suddenly? Despite facing mounting doubts, the United States has refused to disclose the reasons for closing Fort Detrick on the grounds of national security. What secrets are being hidden by the U.S.? According to the New York Times, the suspended research involves certain toxins which the government has determined have the potential to pose a severe threat to public, animal, or plant health, or to animal or plant products. More media broke the news that a suspicious leak had occurred in the Fort Detrick laboratory. Subsequently, a large number of English news reports about the close of Fort Detrick were deleted, displaying 404 not found. What was deleted? What was being covered up? Coincidentally, before the shutdown of the Fort Detrick lab, 2 retirement communities near the base also witnessed outbreaks of respiratory diseases due to unknown cause. 54 people in one retirement community had become ill with symptoms of fever, cough, and general weakness, and 2 people died. A local health official said that outbreak of respiratory diseases in summer was very rare. At that time, some people suspected that there was a virus leak from Fort Detrick.
We are dying. I feel like a sheep going to slaughter.
Such suspicion is not groundless. In fact, the United States has also conducted 2 epidemic exercises. From January to August 2019, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services (HHS) ran a scenario where a respiratory virus originating in China quickly spread around the world. In October 2019, the United States conducted a high-level epidemic exercise called Event 201, simulating a global outbreak of a novel zoonotic coronavirus. Scenarios in the 2 exercises bear a close resemblance to the subsequent COVID-19 outbreak. Did the United States already know it was coming? What's more bizarre is that the United States entered flu season 1 month earlier than previous years. In just 5 months, 34 million people were infected and 20,000 people died. This marked the worst flu season in the United States in 10 years. In such an abnormal flu season, the death toll is appalling. Is it really just flu?
So we could have people in the United States dying for what appears to be influenza when in fact it could be the coronavirus or COVID-19.
Some cases have been actually diagnosed that way in the United States today.
At almost the same time, a mysterious virus may have been spreading quietly through Europe. Media reports have revealed that COVID-19 may have spread to Europe from Fort Detrick through the U.S. Armed Services Blood Program, ASBP. The program aims to provide blood supplies to the U.S. Armed Forces overseas, and Fort Detrick is one of the bases for blood supply. The virus then spread as Italian civilian volunteers entered the U.S. military base. It seems that all these events are related to one name, Fort Detrick. Fort Detrick is home to the Biosafety Level 4 Lab, BSL-4 of the U.S. military, which had been conducting long-term research on 67 lethal pathogens including anthrax, Ebola, smallpox, and plague. It is called the center of the US government's darkest experiments. So, what is Fort Detrick? Is the sudden outbreak of Valley influenza pandemic and COVID-19 related to it? With these doubts, let's have a peek into Fort Detrick. The establishment of Fort Detrick originated from American study of biochemical weapons. After the end of the Second World War, in exchange for obtaining information on the bacterial warfare and human experiments of Unit 731, the US helped war criminals get away with their crimes. Ishishiro was even made a bioweapon consultant at Fort Detrick by the US. Many biochemical experiment researchers of Nazi concentration camp have also been recruited by Fort Detrick. With Unit 731 and the Nazi biochemical experiment data, Fort Detrick quickly developed into the most important biological weapons research and development center in the United States. According to the US media reports, Fort Detrick stores many deadly viruses that pose a grave threat to human safety. Fort Detrick also helped put biological weapons into overseas battlefields. The US military dumped anthrax virus during the Korean War and Agent Orange during the Vietnam War. The swine fever virus from Fort Detrick also triggered food crisis in Cuba. With so many deadly viruses stored, can Fort Detrick guarantee safety and no leakage? The answer is no. At the end of the last century, fatal strains and virus strains were strangely lost here. In 1989, Ebola virus leaked from Fort Detrick because of the irregular operation of the researchers, causing great panic among the people. Similar safety incidents have frequently occurred in Fort Detrick. This series of accidents almost resemble the plot of a disaster movie. Is the outbreak of COVID-19 the result of something which occurred at Fort Detrick? What anti-human atrocities are hidden at Fort Detrick? In March 2020, online petition was submitted on the White House petition site demanding the US government clarify the shutdown of Fort Detrick. So far, tens of millions of Chinese netizens have signed an open letter calling on the World Health Organization to investigate Fort Detrick. The calls from international community for investigating the truth in Fort Detrick are getting increasingly stronger. Despite facing mounting doubts, the United States has single-mindedly sought to pin the blame for COVID-19 on China, attempting to divert people's attention away from its own mistakes. What is the link between Fort Detrick and origins of the COVID-19 pandemic? What secrets are hidden at Fort Detrick?